Russia's invasion of Ukraine may be terrifying, but Taiwan is using it to rethink its own strategy against China. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. Russia's invasion of Ukraine is horrible, terrifying. Even people from Yemen are like, this is bad, I gotta get out of here. But for the Taiwanese, Russia's invasion is inspiring. Not in a good way, but in a way that's making them start to take their own defense a lot more seriously. Because the People's Republic of China is threatening to invade them at any time, like Russia. But it's China. No one wants to see that. Which is why Taiwan is now calling for an all-out defense strategy in the wake of Ukraine. For Taiwan's president, Tsai Ing-wen, the China threat is no joke. Here she is in a U.S. fighter jet, at a Navy base, in front of a picture of helicopters, and just generally looking like an action hero with her hair blowing in the wind. And her latest? Visiting a military base 1 week ago just outside the capital of Taipei. Because that's where the Taiwanese military is now training its Taipei reservists. The idea is to train them to fight in areas close to their homes, since they could end up in a protracted battle in their own streets, the way Ukrainians are. Tsai Ing-wen said the recent situation in Ukraine once again proves that the protection of the country, in addition to international solidarity and assistance, depends on the unity of the whole people. Late last year, Taiwan's government announced reforms to its reservist training, which took effect this month, just in time to match Russia's invasion, turns out. These new reforms include increasing the annual training to 2 weeks, up from just 5 to 7 days in the past. And these reservists will spend more time on actual combat training, including firing guns. That way they don't end up like many novice Ukrainian fighters who've been thrust into the field with only a few days of training. But more importantly, Taiwan is now rethinking its entire defense strategy to be more self-reliant. And even many ordinary Taiwanese citizens are preparing to defend their island nation. This weekend, a Taiwan-based grassroots program called Kuma Academy is holding a 2-day basic training course advertised here to teach citizens self-defense, military strategy, and practical courses it says will make up for the weakened civil defense mobilization capabilities under the existing system. That's in line with what President Tsai talked about earlier this month, calling for an all-out defense strategy. It's aimed at mobilizing all available military power to deal with a potential China invasion. Also last week, the US and Japan held joint military drills. It's the first time the US and Japan have done airborne landing and combat training together. And the exercises come at a time when Russia's invasion of Ukraine has intensified worries about what could happen in East Asia. That could mean Taiwan, or I guess any of the disputed islands China and Japan both claim. Lots of places to start a war over. But thanks to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the rest of the world, especially Taiwan, is thinking a lot more seriously about what could happen when China gets invaded. I guess the lesson here is it's always good to live in fear. And as a reminder, China Uncensored is supported mainly by direct support from viewers like you, especially on the crowdfunding website Patreon. And as a thank you, I answer some of my supporters' questions on the show. Today's question comes from D, who asks, do we really think the US Navy wants to beat China? This is in response to an interview we did with retired Navy Commander Paul Giara. He talked about the US Navy not really being ready to go up against China. I do think the US Navy in general wants to win in any conflict, including with China. But wanting to win is not the same as being prepared to win. Because being prepared requires having a solid overall strategy, plus well thought out plans and backup plans, and the willingness to suffer serious losses that the PLA could inflict on the US. As our guest Paul Giara pointed out, the US Navy isn't really there. And that's because fundamentally the US military as a whole doesn't have a good strategy to take on China, the way China is preparing to fight. But hopefully Russia's invasion of Ukraine will kick the US military into gear the way it's done for Taiwan's military. Thanks for your question, D. And thank you to everyone watching. Be like D and support China Uncensored by contributing $1 or more to the show through the crowdfunding website Patreon. We also have some other cool rewards. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching China Uncensored.